First Ladies of the United States of America. Part 6. Career Women. For a nation which long ago rejected royalty, the First Lady holds a position very much like a queen consort. When the United States elects a new president, they are often also voting for their spouse. But the title of First Lady hasn't always meant the president's wife. 11 of them were the daughters, sisters, or other relatives of the commander-in-chief. And they weren't always called First Lady. That title was coined in the mid-1800s. The unelected, unpaid White House hostesses have the considerable duty of smoothing the way for diplomacy, preserving White House history, and humanizing the president's image. Their personal triumphs and tragedies are played out on a worldwide stage. They influence the nation as fashion icons, social activists, and arbiters of change. Some First Ladies have had major influence on policy in a nation where women are still underrepresented in government, which has yet to elect a woman president. In this 6-part series, we'll meet the 53 fascinating women who have served as First Lady and see how the role has evolved over the past 2.5 centuries. Nancy Davis Reagan was born Anne Frances Robbins in New York City and was nicknamed Nancy. Her parents divorced when she was a baby, and her mother Edith traveled the country working as an actress. Nancy lived in Maryland with her aunt. Her mother married a neurosurgeon and the family settled in Chicago. Nancy admired her conservative stepfather, who adopted her and changed her name to Davis. She earned a degree in English from Smith College, then began working as an actress in New York City. She was cast as Asian in several roles. Nancy was offered a contract with MGM and moved to California. She appeared in 11 films, usually typecast as a housewife. She dated actors Clark Gable, Robert Stack, and Peter Lawford. In 1949, another actress named Nancy Davis was placed on the Hollywood blacklist as a suspected communist, and Nancy suddenly found it difficult to get cast. She went to the president of the Screen Actors Guild, Ronald Reagan, to ask for help. After clearing up the confusion, Ronald asked her out. They dated for 3 years, but he had recently gone through a messy divorce with actress Jane Wyman, and he was hesitant to remarry. They wed in a small ceremony with actor William Holden and his wife as the only witnesses. Nancy gave birth to their daughter, Patty, 8 months later, and their son, Ron, 6 years later. She was a stepmother to Ronald's children, Maureen and Michael. Ron and Nancy were very close and never stopped courting. He called her Mommy, and she called him Ronnie. Both continued acting, even starring together in an episode of Zane Grey Theater, but Nancy put her career in the back seat. In 1967, she encouraged Ron to run for governor of California and inspired many of his political views. She was active in his 1980 presidential campaign. On March 30th, 1981, the new president was returning to his car after a speech when he was shot in the chest. The would-be assassin, John Hinckley Jr., was obsessed with actress Jodie Foster and believed killing the president would impress her. When Nancy arrived at the hospital, Ron quipped, "Honey, I forgot to duck." After a 2-week stay, he recovered. From then on, Nancy regularly consulted an astrologer to plan the president's schedule. After several years of belt-tightening at the White House, Nancy brought back Kennedy-era glamour. She hosted 56 state dinners and demanded perfection from the White House staff. One such dinner with Mikhail Gorbachev was key in building friendly relationships with the Soviet Union and eventually ending the Cold War. Nancy loved fashion and was given thousands of dollars worth of clothes and jewelry from designers. She was criticized and later investigated for not paying taxes on these gifts. She employed 2 hairdressers. She loved the color red. Nancy attended the wedding of Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer. She renovated the family rooms and ordered a new set of White House china. As the country was in a recession and new school lunch regulations counted ketchup as a vegetable, she was criticized as out of touch. In response, she dressed as a bag lady and sang a comic song, Secondhand Clothes, at a press dinner, and won back some affection. Nancy promoted her Just Say No drug awareness campaign across the nation. In 1986, President Reagan signed a drug enforcement bill, which launched the war on drugs and ensured a mandatory minimum penalty for drug offenses. How much political influence Nancy had on Ronald remains a matter of controversy. Their daughter, Patty, rejected their political beliefs and authored several anti-Reagan books. Upon leaving the White House, wealthy friends purchased the couple a mansion in Bel Air, California. In 1994, Ronald was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and Nancy was his primary caregiver. She became an advocate for stem cell research, hoping it could cure the disease. She remained politically active until her death in 2016, age 94. She was buried next to Ronald at the Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Barbara Pierce Bush was born in New York City. Her father was the president of the McCall Corporation, the publisher of women's magazines Redbook and McCall's. She attended boarding school in South Carolina, where she enjoyed reading, swimming, and playing tennis. She was 16 when she met George Bush at a Christmas dance. They became engaged before he left to serve in World War II as a bomber pilot. He named 3 planes after Barbara. Following the war, they married and had 6 children, including future President George W. Bush. Their daughter Robin died of leukemia at the age of 3. The family moved to Texas, where George got into the booming oil business. They moved 29 times, and Barbara was often alone with the children. In 1966, George was elected to Congress. He held a number of positions in the government, including a stint as liaison to China. Barbara accompanied him wherever he went. Ronald Reagan asked Bush to be his running mate in 1980. Barbara caused controversy by stating her support of the Equal Rights Amendment and that she was pro-choice. She said of vice presidential candidate Geraldine Ferraro, "I can't say what I think of her, but it rhymes with rich." She was second lady for 8 years and promoted children's literacy. In 1988, Barbara campaigned actively for her husband's presidential bid. She promised voters that she would be a traditional First Lady, in contrast to Nancy Reagan's high fashion. As First Lady, she appeared on The Oprah Winfrey Show and Sesame Street to promote literacy. She established the White House Endowment Trust for perpetual preservation, so future First Ladies wouldn't have to undertake costly renovations. During the 1992 presidential campaign, Barbara stated that abortion and homosexuality are personal matters that the Republican Party should not take a stand on. George lost re-election, and the couple retired to Texas and the Bush compound in Kennebunkport, Maine. George surprised Barbara with a trip on the cruise ship from the popular TV show Love Boat. 5 schools, a library, and a children's hospital were named in Barbara's honor. In 1999, she campaigned for her son, George W.'s bid for president. Barbara Bush and Abigail Adams are the only 2 women to have been both married to and the mother of a president. When her son, Jeb, decided to run for president, she told him, "We've had enough Bushes." Barbara died in 2018, age 92. George died 7 months later. Both were laid to rest at the George H.W. Bush Presidential Library and Museum. Hillary Rodham Clinton was born in Chicago, Illinois. In high school, she ran for class president, but lost to a boy who told her, "You are really stupid if you think a girl can be elected president." She was voted most likely to succeed. Hillary was raised conservative and canvassed for Richard Nixon, but meeting Martin Luther King had a big effect on her. At Wellesley College, her views on civil rights and the Vietnam War shifted her political stance. Hillary's graduation speech was featured in Life magazine. She spent the summer in Alaska working at a salmon cannery. Next, she attended Yale Law School, where she took an interest in childhood development and offered free legal advice to the poor. She dated fellow student Bill Clinton, and he followed her to California for an internship. She stayed an extra year at Yale, attaining a Juris Doctor degree while Bill completed his law degree. He proposed, but she wasn't sure she wanted to tie her future to his. She moved to Washington and worked on a congressional committee researching the impeachment of President Nixon. But after failing the Washington bar exam, she decided to follow her heart and marry Bill. The couple married in their living room, and she kept her maiden name. They moved to his home state of Arkansas, where she passed the bar and worked as a public defender and law professor at the University of Arkansas, and founded a rape crisis center. Bill was elected governor of Arkansas 3 times, and they welcomed a daughter, Chelsea. In Little Rock, Hillary became a full partner at a law firm and wrote groundbreaking articles on children's legal rights. She sat on the board of Walmart, TCBY, and LaForge Cement. She earned a higher salary than Bill. In 1992, Bill ran for president. He said that, in electing him, the nation would get 2 for the price of 1, referring to the active role Hillary would assume. Her comments about preferring her career over baking cookies made her unpopular with some. Tabloids accused Bill of an affair with actress Jennifer Flowers. He and Hillary appeared together on 60 Minutes, and he denied the allegations. Hillary was the First Lady to have a postgraduate degree and her own career up to entering the White House. She played a crucial role in vetting administrative appointments and is considered to have been the most openly empowered First Lady after Eleanor Roosevelt. Hillary chaired the Task Force on National Health Care Reform, which failed. She did secure the passage of the State Children's Health Insurance Program, the Adoption and Safe Families Act, the Foster Care Independence Act, and helped to create the Office on Violence Against Women in the Justice Department. Hillary broke Pat Nixon's record by traveling to 79 countries. During a speech in the People's Republic of China, she declared, "Human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights." She spoke out against women's treatment by the Taliban and encouraged women around the world to participate in government. Her book, It Takes a Village and Other Lessons Children Teach Us, was a bestseller, and she won a Grammy for the audiobook. Hillary testified before a federal grand jury in the Whitewater scandal about possible inappropriate financial dealings in the 1970s. The investigation was closed due to insufficient evidence. Bill was accused of having an affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky. Hillary initially dismissed it as right-wing conspiracy, but evidence of the affair became indisputable, and Bill was impeached for lying under oath. Hillary resolved to stand by her husband, though privately she was furious and considered divorce. Towards the end of his second term, Hillary became the First Lady to run for and win elected office when she became a New York senator. Following the September 11th terrorist attacks, she helped to secure $21 billion for the redevelopment of the World Trade Center site and took a lead in investigating health issues facing first responders. She voted in favor of the Iraq War. She earned a record $8 million for her autobiography, Living History. Bill earned over $100 million for books and speaking engagements. In 2008, Hillary ran for president. She was in the lead until Senator Barack Obama overtook her in the primaries. Her biggest threat was her initial support for the Iraq War. Hillary ended her campaign and supported Obama, who later appointed her Secretary of State. In the role, she visited 112 countries and reformed the State Department. But she was criticized for failing to prevent attacks on U.S. facilities in Benghazi, Libya, and for breaching security by using a private email server. She left office in 2014 to write a second memoir, Hard Choices, and prepare for her run for president in 2016. Hillary became the first woman to win a major party nomination for president. She held a strong lead in polls, but the nation was shocked when she lost the Electoral College to Donald Trump. She had won the popular vote by 2.8 million, but lost the White House. She wrote a third memoir, What Happened, in 2017. Hillary and Bill Clinton remain politically, professionally, and philanthropically active. Laura Welch Bush was born in Midland, Texas. She loved reading. At 17, she ran a stop sign and struck another car, killing its driver, who was her friend and classmate. While attending Southern Methodist University, she majored in education and joined Kappa Alpha Theta sorority. She earned a master's degree and began working as a librarian. In July 1977, she met aspiring politician George W. Bush at a backyard barbecue. She responded to his proposal, "Yes, but only if you promise me that I'll never have to make a campaign speech." During his run for Congress, she did give a speech, but George lost. After years of struggling with fertility, Laura gave birth to fraternal twins, Barbara and Jenna, 5 weeks early by emergency C-section. George was elected governor of Texas in 1995. Laura promoted women's and children's causes, including health, education, and literacy. George ran for president in 2000, and his campaign emphasized that Laura would not be politically active like Hillary Clinton. In the White House, Laura continued to focus on education and founded the National Book Festival. During the September 11th terrorist attacks, it was feared that the president and first lady might be targets, and they were placed in a bunker underneath the White House. Laura was especially concerned about the effects the tragedy would have on young children. Laura delivered a presidential radio address and spoke about the plight of women in Afghanistan. Laura's popularity remained high, even as her husband's did not. She campaigned for Republicans across the country and during her husband's 2004 bid for re-election. She made 5 trips to Africa to raise awareness about HIV/AIDS and malaria and promote education and opportunities for women. She raised money for libraries affected by Hurricane Katrina. She also promoted abstinence education to prevent abortions. In 2009, the Bushes retired to Texas. Laura released a memoir, Spoken from the Heart, and continues to tour the country to promote education, women's health, the rights of women in Afghanistan, and other issues. Michelle Robinson Obama was born in Chicago, Illinois. She was a bright student and graduated salutatorian. She followed her older brother to Princeton University, where she felt uncomfortable as a Black student and worried about balancing her heritage and elite education. She resolved to be both brilliant and Black. Next, Michelle went to Harvard Law School. After graduation, she returned to Chicago to work at a law firm, where she was assigned to mentor summer associate Barack Obama. He asked her out, but she said it would be inappropriate. But later, they began dating and eventually married. Michelle continued to work as a lawyer, became an associate dean at the University of Chicago, and then vice president at the University Medical Center. She was the main breadwinner. The couple suffered a miscarriage and then used in vitro fertilization to conceive their daughters, Malia and Natasha, known as Sasha. Michelle agreed to support Barack's bid for Senate if he would quit smoking. She was active in his campaign and his run for president, but limited her schedule so that she could be home with their daughters. In 2009, she became the first Black First Lady. Her mother, Marion, moved into the White House to help with childcare. Michelle became a trendsetter with clothes from high-end designers and from more affordable brands like J.Crew and Target. She appeared on the cover of Vogue 3 times. She took on 4 primary initiatives: Let's Move to end childhood obesity through fitness, education initiatives Reach Higher and Let Girls Learn, and Joining Forces, which supports the families of military service members. She promoted healthy eating by installing a vegetable garden at the White House. During Barack's 2012 re-election campaign, Michelle's speeches were so well received that she was known as the closer. She accompanied Barack on numerous international trips to great acclaim. She spoke in favor of same-sex marriage and LGBTQ+ rights. She and Barack campaigned for Hillary Clinton and later Joe Biden. Michelle published a memoir, Becoming, in 2018 and launched a podcast. She has dispelled rumors that she would run for president by stating that she never had a passion for politics. Melania Trump was born in Novo Mesto, Yugoslavia, then part of the Soviet bloc, now Slovenia. She is the second foreign-born First Lady after Louisa Adams. Her father was a member of a communist atheist group, but had her secretly baptized Catholic. As a child, Melania appeared in fashion shows at the factory where her mother worked as a pattern maker. She studied architecture and design at the University of Ljubljana for 1 year before dropping out to pursue a modeling career in Paris and Milan. In 1996, 26-year-old Melania moved to New York on a visitor's visa, which did not permit her to work in the U.S. She posed for a number of magazines, including GQ, Sports Illustrated, InStyle Wedding, and Vanity Fair Spain. She met real estate mogul Donald Trump while he was in the midst of his second divorce. With his help, she was granted U.S. residency and later citizenship. They married in 2005 in Palm Beach, Florida. She was 35 and he 59. A number of celebrities attended, including Hillary and Bill Clinton. Melania wore a $200,000 John Galliano gown, in which she was featured on the cover of Vogue. In 2006, she gave birth to a son, Barron. She also launched a jewelry and skincare line. During Donald's 2016 presidential campaign, Melania played a smaller part than previous spouses. At the Republican National Convention, she gave a speech which plagiarized Michelle Obama. Melania was compared to Jackie Kennedy for her glamour and high fashion. While Donald Trump moved to the White House, she continued to live in New York City at Trump Tower until the end of their son's school year. It was reported that she refused to move to Washington in order to negotiate a better prenup. She was criticized for the high taxpayer cost of her security at Trump Tower. Her initiative as First Lady was the Be Best campaign against cyberbullying. This was considered ironic by many, as her husband's Twitter posts were often bullying. Donald's zero-tolerance policy at the Mexican border, where children were separated from parents, was also seen as ironic, as Melania's own immigration had not been strictly legal. She went to visit children at the border while wearing a jacket which read, "I really don't care, do you?" Many assumed the jacket expressed her indifference towards the children being detained. She stated it was meant as a jab at the left-wing media for criticizing her. Melania sued the Daily Mail for allegations that she had been a sex worker during her modeling career. She sought $150 million, claiming that the article had damaged her once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sign lucrative business deals. While the newspaper admitted the story was false, profiting from political office is unethical and illegal. Melania took several international trips with her husband and a solo tour of Africa to promote conservationism and child welfare. During the COVID-19 pandemic, both Donald and Melania tested positive for the disease, but recovered. In 2020, Donald lost the presidency to Joe Biden, though both Trumps maintained that the election had been stolen. Melania did not contact Jill Biden or provide her the traditional tour of the White House. The couple broke with tradition by leaving Washington before Biden's inauguration. Dr. Jill Jacobs Biden was born in Hamilton, New Jersey. She is the eldest of 5 sisters. She worked as a waitress in high school and was a prankster but a good student. She attended the University of Delaware and modeled to pay tuition. At 19, she married Bill Stevenson, owner of a college bar. She and Bill drifted apart and divorced. She met Senator Joe Biden on a blind date. He had been widowed when his wife Nelia and 3 children were involved in a car crash. Nelia and 1-year-old Naomi were killed, and Bo and Hunter sustained serious injuries. Joe was sworn in as senator in their hospital room. Jill was impressed with Joe, who was 9 years her senior. She told her mother, "I finally met a gentleman." Jill graduated and began a career as a high school English teacher. She wed Joe in New York City, and they honeymooned at Lake Balaton, Hungary. Jill raised Bo and Hunter, and they called her Mom. She also gave birth to a daughter, Ashley. Jill continued to teach and earned a master's degree from Villanova University, while Joe served 36 years in the Senate. He ran unsuccessfully for president in 1988. Jill earned a Doctor of Education degree from the University of Delaware. She didn't want Joe to run for president in 2004 and entered a strategy meeting wearing a swimsuit with the word "no" written on her stomach. But she was so against the Iraq War and outraged when George Bush won that she encouraged him to run in 2008. The campaign was unsuccessful, but Joe was selected as Obama's vice president. Jill continued to teach at North Virginia Community College 2 days a week and tried to keep her job as normal as possible, though a Secret Service agent accompanied her. Most students knew her as Dr. B. When asked if she was the wife of the vice president, she replied, "I'm one of his relatives." Jill went on tour to promote community colleges. She founded Joining Forces with Michelle Obama. Michelle recalled that Jill was always grading papers. In 2015, Bo died from brain cancer. Jill described the loss as totally shattering. After leaving One Observatory Circle, Jill was named board chair of Save the Children and created the Biden Foundation with Joe. The couple bought a beachfront home in Delaware and both wrote memoirs. Jill was enthusiastically in favor of Joe running for president in 2020 against Donald Trump and played an active role in the campaign. When protesters rushed the stage during a speech, Jill protected her husband and pushed them away. At age 69, she became the oldest First Lady in history. She is also the first to have a doctorate degree and to continue working while in the White House. So many students wanted to be taught by the First Lady that her classes are listed as instructed by staff. Jill pushed for an item in the Build Back Better plan, which would provide free tuition for community colleges, but it was dropped. Jill Biden is currently the First Lady of the United States of America. It remains to be seen when the title of this video can be amended to First Spouses, when a first gentleman is finally added to the list of astonishing First Ladies of the United States of America. Want even more tea on history? Check out the History Tea Time podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and check out my other royal history videos. If you really want to help, please consider supporting me on Patreon. A link is in the description. Thank you for watching.